We're the creators of the AADL TV show, Recipe Share, now in its 4th season, and we have some exciting news. We've created a cookbook. Our cookbook is titled, Thanks for Sharing, which includes recipes by all 3 of us, some of which you may have heard here on the show, and some that we have yet to share.
Our cookbook includes dozens of recipes ranging from breakfast to dinner, with snacks, appetizers, and desserts too. These are all our original recipes created by us or passed down in our families. We're so happy that we get to share them with you.
If you're interested in getting a free copy of our cookbook while supplies last, please email recipeshare@aadl.org with your name and the library you'd like to pick it up at. Thanks for Sharing is also available in Braille. Just let us know if you would like the Braille version. And feel free to email recipeshare@aadl.org if you have any questions. We hope you enjoy.
Recipe share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share. Recipe share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Recipe Share, a program on AADL TV where we take a few minutes to talk about recipes in a featured category. Today's category is Midwest Classics. I'm Elizabeth, and as usual, I'm joined today by Katie and Beth to tell us about their recipes. So, Beth, tell us about your Midwest Classic.
Okay, this category troubled me for a while. I really had to mull it over. Because I kept wondering what exactly is Midwestern cuisine, and there's so many different terms for what's in the Midwest. So according to Wikipedia, it's significantly draws from Central, Northern, and Eastern Europe. Our cuisine does. Therefore, I remembered this dish with sauerkraut that the first time I tried it at a potluck, I was like, what is this? So it's a German sauerkraut casserole, and you cook it with bacon. It's got bacon, sauerkraut, a can of tomatoes. Also, you don't drain the sauerkraut, and you do drain the preferably small diced, but I use like regular sized diced. And then in the recipe calls for half a cup each of sugar, but I did a quarter. I reduced the sugar, quarter cup of brown and a quarter cup of white. So you saute onion until it's translucent in bacon grease. If you could definitely make it without bacon, I think, and it would still be good. And then you set that aside, and you basically throw everything in to a casserole dish, mix it up, bake it at 350 for an hour, and it ends up caramelizing and sweet. It's sweet and smoky, and it's very good, and it's also very good as a leftover. It's not the best smell at work, okay, but no one complained. But it's just a really good side dish, and it's surprising how tasty sauerkraut can be.
That sounds good. Did you put it on top? Did you top like something? What did you do with it?
Okay, so I forgot you chop up the bacon and add it after. So also I want to say that I looked this up online because I couldn't find my actual recipe from the first person that gave it to me at that potluck. So I don't recall. It seems to me you would have to cook the bacon ahead and not cook it in the casserole, because then it wouldn't get crispy. So you do set that aside. And then, it's just a side dish. You can put it on hot dogs, though. You could serve it with bratwurst. That was our plan, but I guess we never got around to that. But yeah, it's a really yummy side dish. And then also I ended up having part of some like radish sauerkraut, so it was pink. That was like a fancier one. Some of that, and then also another jar that had caraway seeds in it. So it had nice textures, 2 different textures, and then there was like a rosy golden. There's a picture, and just it's like pink and rosy and sweet, and nice fall kind of thing to do. I think you could throw in apples too.
That sounds so good on a bratwurst. My mouth is watering.
Okay. Yeah. So, any other comments about this?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in my family we eat sauerkraut on pierogies, and I think this sounds like an elevated sauerkraut that would be really good, and also yes, with brats. So that sounds fantastic, and I definitely want to eat that now.
That's great. I forgot I have pierogies in the freezer.
Ooh.
Perfect thing to do with that. All right. So, Katie, what did you make for this category?
Okay, so the recipe that I'm sharing today comes from a website called MidwestFoodieBlog.com, so that's appropriate. It is for the best tater tot casserole. And so tater tot casserole is considered a pretty traditional Midwest dish. We call it here mostly tater tot casserole in Michigan, but it's also called hot dish in Minnesota, other places throughout the area. So you might have heard of it called that, but it's basically meat and vegetable casserole that's topped with tater tots. So that's what it is. I thought this particular recipe was really good. It calls for using a large saute pan for basically the whole thing. I used my Dutch oven for the whole thing, which I thought worked awesome because it's just the one big pan. Always love that. But you basically brown your ground beef in there and then remove it. And then you cook your garlic, oregano, thyme, some onion, and then you melt some butter in there, sprinkle some flour in, and then add some beef broth, Worcestershire sauce, and heavy cream, and get that all nice and simmering. And then you add some frozen veggies. I used carrots, peas, and green beans. And then you stir in your ground beef, some salt and pepper, cook that up till it's all warmed through. And then you top it with shredded cheddar cheese. And it is typical for me. Any casserole that you top with shredded cheese, I use twice the amount. This was no exception. So it calls for a cup. I used 2 cups. It just looks like the right amount to me. So whatever. So then you put your tater tots on top, and so in a baking dish, you would just put them in a row. I like the Dutch oven because you put it in this nice circular pattern. I think it looks pretty. And then you just cook that uncovered for about 45 minutes. You can broil it at the very end to get the tater tots a little crispy on top. So I did that. And then you take it out and you garnish it with chopped chives and parsley. And I think it looks really beautiful. You can see the picture here. It just gets bubbly around the edges. And I think it's just really tasty. One of the things that they said in the notes here is that the tater tots in this casserole come out tender on the bottom and crispy on the top. So if you wanted to have like a more crispy crust on top, that you could make your tater tots ahead of time and then put them on for the baking process, so they're already like pre-cooked. I surveyed the folks that I was feeding this to, and they said leave it. It was good with the gravy and everything soaking into the bottom of the tater tots. That texture was appreciated. So I will leave it. I will make this again. This to me is like truly comfort food, and the leftovers are very good if you happen to have any at the end.
Yum. The closest thing I can think of to hot dish that I've made is something that I made actually that I talked about on Recipe Share several seasons ago, which was for like a brunch egg thing with tater tots.
Yeah.
But I've never, I guess I didn't put 2 and 2 together that hot dish and tater tot casserole are the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm thinking back to that now, and I'm wondering, like, did I say hot dish? If I didn't say hot dish, why didn't I say hot dish? Because I just like the word.
Yeah, no, it's just like I've never, and like in my mind, those things have been 2 separate things. And I'm like, oh, I've never had hot dish. I totally have. I just thought of it as tater tot casserole. Delicious.
Yeah, that sounds really like a yummy thing to do on a weeknight, right? It doesn't take that long. And then, so you just let it cook right on your stovetop.
Oh, no, sorry, it's in the oven.
Oh, okay. You
Yep.
let it bubble in the, okay.
Yep, put it in the
Oh,
oven.
you
and
start it
then-
on the stove, right, Katie?
Start it
Yeah,
on-
yeah. So you
Okay.
start it when you're browning and then simmering everything. And then once you've got your cheese and your tater tots on top, stick it in the oven and
Then
bake
put
it
it-
for 45 minutes.
Okay,
Yep.
that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. Well, Elizabeth, tell us about your Midwest recipe.
Yeah. Okay. So I had one in mind that I was going to do, which is from my childhood. My mom would make all the time. We called it tuna noodle casserole, classic. But I decided not to do that because I felt like most people have done that. It's also when I did make it, but it was so easy. It's like pasta, cubed cheese, cans of tuna. And I was like, this is barely a recipe, like delicious, but I don't need to share this. So I was looking up Midwest. I wanted to do a casserole as well, because I think of that as very Midwestern. So I was looking up Midwestern casseroles and I found this one for award-winning chicken wild rice casserole. And I was thinking, what a great one to do, because wild rice is traditionally grown, in the UP and all of that by Native Americans. And we're still a big producer of wild rice, as is Minnesota. So I thought I would give this a whirl. And it was super good. So basically, in a large saucepan, you saute a chopped yellow onion in butter until it's tender. You stir in 1/3 cup of flour and some salt and pepper and just kind of blend it together. It gets really thick. And then you gradually stir in some chicken broth. They call for 1 can, and just stir and bring to a boil. It kind of gets thick after a couple minutes, and then you stir in a cup of half and half, 4 cups of cubed cooked chicken. So I pre-baked some chicken breast and cubed it. 4 cups of cooked wild rice, a couple cups of sliced mushrooms. And then this was interesting, a jar of drained diced pimentos, and then a tablespoon of minced fresh parsley. So I modified this slightly. First of all, they called for canned mushrooms. That was nasty to me. So I bought fresh mushrooms and cooked them along with the onions, and just that was totally fine. And then I used a tablespoon of parsley and all that. I was like, what? That made no sense to me. So I threw in like a big old handful. And that was also fine. So anyway, you stir all that together, and then you transfer it to a greased casserole dish. And you top it with some slivered almonds, and then you bake at 350 for like 30 to 35 minutes until it's bubbly. Here's a picture of it out of the oven. The almonds get a little bit toasty, and I really liked it. It was super good. It was not something I'd had, but I'm gonna keep it in the rotation. And the wild rice was delicious. I love wild rice, and it was kind of creamy. The mushrooms were really good in there. The chicken was good. I mean, it wasn't super veggie heavy, so I feel like you could maybe throw in like another veggie, green beans or peas, I don't know, something, or have it on the side, whatever. But it said award winning, and I was like, well, I could see how this maybe won an award somewhere. It was really good. So I'm gonna keep making it, and I would recommend giving it a whirl.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Really good.
I love wild rice.
I do too.
Yeah, that just sounds like something you could again do on a weeknight.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm really, really looking forward to making that. It sounds awesome. And I love the tip about cooking the mushrooms with the onions if you don't want to use canned. That's great, because sometimes I'll look at that and be like, I don't want to do that, or I don't have that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So love it.
Yeah, it was very good. And especially if you pre-cook the chicken like earlier in the day or the day before, and you just have it ready to go, the whole thing comes together so quick. So yeah.
Very cool.
Did you use the pimentos?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was kind of odd, because I don't think of pimentos as like a Midwestern thing, but it gave it little pops of like red color, and it was good. Yeah. But
Good.
I didn't think it was make or break, but I threw them in. So yeah.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, if we have no further comments, I will say thank you for watching Recipe Share, and be sure to click the link below to look at the event page on aadl.org to find the recipes we talked about and share your own in the comments. Join us next time when our theme is Go Bananas. We're looking forward to seeing what you've been making, so thanks for sharing.
Recipe share, share a little recipe with